Hey, Winterfest students, another week's gone by. Hope you had a little throwback from Shine last week with the Newsboys. This week, Jeremy Robertson from the Edmond Church of Christ in Edmond, Oklahoma, my hometown here that we live in, is going to talk to us about embracing doubt. And so listen up. He's got some scripture for us and some points for us at the end, and you'll be blessed by this. We'll see you next week.
Hey, Winterfest. I want to talk to you this week about embracing doubt. And not just embracing doubt, but embracing doubt in the name of pursuing a deeper faith. This has been part of my journey for a long time, and that's why this topic is important to me. Asking good, difficult questions and experiencing our doubt in community, I think, is really important. This goes back to middle school for me. Here's middle school Jeremy. Probably the height of my athleticism, unfortunately. In 7th and 8th grade, I started asking hard questions of my faith, but I didn't feel like I could ask those questions in church. And it made me feel lonely for a little while. But whenever I started to give voice to those questions and doubts, that's when I really started to grow in my faith. That's when I really started to own my faith. And that's what I hope will be your journey as well. I am of the opinion that certainty can be the enemy of spiritual growth. That sounds weird. What do I mean by that? When you're certain of something, you don't have to think about it anymore. For example, you are certain that 2 + 2 = 4. You can't remember the last time you had to think about, does 2 + 2 actually equal 4? No amount of meditation this week will help you grow to a deeper understanding of the fact that 2 + 2 = 4. You're certain of it. If we're not careful, we can reach certainty in our faith to the point that we stunt our own faith growth. If you are certain about who God is, then you don't have to reflect on his love or his mercy or his justice, because you already know. If you're certain about what scripture says, that you don't need to read it anymore because you already know what it says. If you're certain about what it looks like to do church together, then you don't have to be challenged by new ideas or concepts. The more certain we are, the less open we are to growth and to change. Our goal should not be certainty. Instead, we should embrace our uncertainty in the name of pursuing good answers to our difficult questions. And by getting good answers to our difficult questions, we will grow deeper in our faith in God. I believe God's own name invites us into a certain level of an uncertainty. Do you remember what God's name is? What he gives his name to Moses? It's Yahweh. I have a vocab word for you here. Biblical scholars use a 14-letter word to refer to a 4-letter name, the tetragrammaton. You can drop that in conversation with somebody soon and just look like the biblical scholar in the room. Leave it up to biblical scholarship to use a 14-letter word to describe a 4-letter name. But when Moses has this conversation at the burning bush, or the not so burning bush since it doesn't burn up, he asks God, what is your name? And he's not really asking like, what should I call you? He's asking like, who are you? What do you do? In Moses' time, they thought of gods as responsible for certain areas, a god of thunder, a god of the harvest, a god of war. So when Moses asks God, what is your name? He's really asking, who are you? What do you do? How will we know it's you? In Exodus 3:13 and 14, we see this conversation. Moses said to God, suppose I go to the Israelites and say to them, the God of your fathers has sent me to you. And they ask me, what is his name? Then what shall I tell them? God said to Moses, I am who I am. This is what you are to say to the Israelites. I am has sent me to you. That clears it up, right? We fully understand who God is now. His name is I am who I am, or some translations say I will be who I will be. God's own name resists a clean, clear box. Moses is trying to put clear definition on God, and I get it because I like clean lines. I like clear definitions. And God's own name says, you're not going to fully understand me. God's own name at some level resists definition. It'd be like if we met for the first time and you say, Jeremy, tell me about yourself. And I just said, I am like myself. I choose who I will be. Right? That doesn't help you know me a whole lot, right? Certainly there are plenty of stories in Scripture that illustrate who God is and how he treats people. But his own name even invites us into more questions. And my encouragement to you is to lean into that. Let's embrace doubt and questions as an opportunity for faith growth. Embrace it as an opportunity for faith growth. We do a series periodically in my youth group called Interview with the Creator. And we tell our students, imagine you were in the throne room before God and you can ask him any questions. Just share your questions, your doubts, your fears. What would you ask him? And I wanted to give voice to some of those here because you might be feeling the same way. Some of the questions from the last round. Do good people from other religions go to hell after death? Does God favor men over women? It seems like that when women aren't allowed to do things that men can do. Did God create depression and anxiety? How do I know I can trust the Bible? I don't know if I can believe in a God who allows cancer. Those are great questions. Those are doubts that deserve the pursuit of good answers. And I want you to ask those questions within church. Sadly, many of you and many of our students feel like church isn't the space where they can give voice to their doubt. I want you to see Kara Powell's quote because I think it's so true. She says, it's not doubt that's toxic to faith, it's silence. It's not doubt that's toxic to faith, it's silence. God is not afraid of our questions. God is not up in heaven thinking, oh boy, I really hope they don't ask me about suffering. I don't have a great answer for that one. Right? God can handle our questions. If we don't give voice to our questions, we either leave faith or we stunt our faith and we never grow deeper because we won't pursue real answers to our real questions. So again, for the second time, let's embrace doubt and questions as an opportunity for faith growth. When I think about this mentality and how it can play out, the first person I think of is Thomas. He gets that label, Doubting Thomas, right? And you know his story. He says, in order for me to believe that Jesus really is resurrected, I need to touch him. I need to put my hands in the wounds. I gotta know. And we get to see a scene where Jesus encounters him. Let's read it together. John 20, 26 through 29. A week later, his disciples were in the house again, and Thomas was with them. Though the doors were locked, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." Then he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here. See my hands. Reach out your hand and put it in my side. Stop doubting and believe." Thomas said to him, "My Lord and my God." Then Jesus told him, "Because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed." I love the way that the painter Caravaggio envisions this scene. It's kind of gross even. We see Thomas's finger actually in the side of Jesus. But I love this depiction mostly for the other people in the room. The other disciples, and I think this was probably accurate. The other disciples are like, "Oh, Jesus, I definitely believe you're resurrected. No doubts over here. I'm good. I'm with you 100%. But if Thomas is going to touch you, I'm going to watch. I'm interested. I could use some confirmation." Right? Jesus' words to Thomas are so powerful. He says, "Stop doubting and believe." And I think those words were probably not just for Thomas, but I bet you there's other people in the room who are wrestling with some level of doubt and question. I used to read this language where Jesus says, stop doubting and believe. I used to think that Thomas was in trouble. Like Jesus was saying, get it together, Thomas. Stop doubting. Just believe already. I don't read it that way anymore. In fact, I think it's more, instead of rebuke, I think it's an invitation. Like Jesus is saying, Thomas, I know you said you would need to touch me. I know you said you would need to feel the wounds. Come on over here. You don't need to doubt anymore. Touch my side, touch my hands, and know you don't have to doubt anymore. Believe. There's so much grace and understanding in that reading of what Jesus is doing with Thomas. And then it's doubting Thomas, quote unquote, doubting Thomas, that gives what in the Gospel of John is the most powerful articulation and confession of who Jesus is. It's Thomas that says, my Lord and my God. This should take us back to the beginning of the Gospel of John, where it says, in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And then in the book of John, the very first person to actually attach the language of God to Jesus is Thomas. Doubting Thomas makes that confession. It's Thomas's doubt and embracing that doubt and pursuing good answers. It's that journey that leads Thomas into a deeper faith. I hope that will be your journey as well. I want to leave you with two things. First, I said it twice, I'm going to say it a third time because I think it's important. Embrace your doubts and questions as opportunity for faith growth. Don't be afraid of those questions. They can help you grow in your faith. And then second, if you're going to grow, do it together. Choose one of your doubts and discuss it with somebody you trust, a spiritual mentor of yours. Give voice to those, and then together, go read scripture. Together, go ask other mentors and talk about the questions that you have so that you can pursue a deeper faith. I hope this conversation has been a blessing to you. I want to remind you, and our encouragement to you is to always be seeking the truth, even when you have doubts. Trust God. He is faithful. I hope you have a blessed week.